Hi, welcome to educator.com and the very first lesson in Adobe Illustrator CS6. So we're going to cover a lot of foundation because your foundation, if it's built right, will carry you the whole way through. Okay, we're going to talk about workspaces first. And even though you can work on one workspace at a time, I'm going to show you the many workspaces that are available and how you can set up yours. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so first we're going to look at preferences. Now, you may not know what preferences you want right away because you haven't worked with the program. So after you work with it for a while, you begin to see what your style is and what works for you. So let's look at the preferences right now. So general preferences, you have your keyboard increments. So when you want to move an object, this is the increments that it will move in. Constraint angle, you really don't have to worry about that. Keep that at 0. Unless you have some specific reason to change it, there's really no reason to. The corner radius, this is the default for your corner radius when you're making rounded rectangles. And you can change that along the way, but again, no reason to change it right now. But if you find you're making the same corner rounded rectangles all the time, then it might be good to put the default in here. Disable auto add delete. This refers to the pen tool, where the pen tool can add and delete points from the pen tool without going to another one. Use precise cursors, so instead of using an arrow or a tool, it'll use crosshairs. Show tooltips. I like keeping show tooltips checked because that helps me with the drawing and creating of the art. In anti-alias artwork, you want this checked because if you don't, then you'll see what vector really looks like, and it's really scary and it can make people nervous. The other stuff, double-click to isolate. We'll go to that later, scale, stroke, and effect patterns. So really don't have to worry about that. You can keep this the way it is. Okay, now selection and anchor display. Now tolerance specifies the distance within which an anchor point becomes selected when you click it. So you're within 3 pixels, then that anchor point will become selected. Object selection by path only. Right now, this is deselected, so I can select object as soon as I get to it and not just hit it by the path. Snap to point within 2 pixels, almost the same as tolerance. And command click to select objects behind. Now this is if you have 2 objects on the same layer and one is behind another, then you can command click to select that other object. And also anchor point and handle display. If you don't, this is the way it's currently displayed in this degrade area. But if you don't like it, you can change it to one of these. Again, not too much to change. So pretty much the size, the type, units, inches, points, you have points to pixels, everything in between. The guides and the grid. So the guides are cyan. So if you need to change the color because they have a cyan background, then you can change that. Right now it's lines, but it could be dots. The grid can be customized with what color that will be. Right now it's a light gray. And again, the style can be lines or dots. And the grid line is every 72 points right now, and the subdivisions are 8. And grids in black, and show pixel grid above 600 zoom. Okay, so smart guides, I like to keep smart guides on because those give me a lot of information, so they're very helpful. I know it may be confusing to some, and some people don't like it, but I'm telling you, keep the smart guides on. And as we go through the lessons, you'll see how helpful they are. Slices refer to when you're slicing stuff to make an interactive website or image map. Dictionary, again, nothing really to change here. Plug in the scratch disk. Now you have a secondary drive, then you want to make that the secondary disk your scratch disk, because when you use up everything on your first disk, then it'll switch to that and it'll keep Illustrator humming right along. User interface, this is the interface we're in now. So I can make that custom, lighter, dark, or just go back to what I had, which is medium dark. Okay, file handling and clipboard, again, not much to do here because you do want to keep it as PDF because across all of the Adobe products, it can read PDF. So that'll make it, so if you want to go from one Adobe program to another, if it copies as PDF, then you'll be able to open it right up. Appearance of black, really don't have to deal with anything here right now unless there's something specific instructions from your printer. Just keep this the way it is. Okay, so those are the preferences. Okay, now let's talk about workspaces. Now right now, your workspaces are under this tab, and we're using the essentials of the workspace. And there's many, many more. So you have layout, and again, so this is what they refer to as the workspace. It changes the panels arrangement and give you tools that relate to what the specific thing is. So painting, so you have more brush and color tools available. Tracing, see the image trace box comes up. You can see the navigator. Typography, again you have the type and fonts tool, your character styles, paragraph styles. So these are more accessible to you choosing color. For the web, swatches, symbols, brushes, appearance. And again, so things that they think will be available to you. So now let's go back to essentials. Now if you want to create your own workspace, it's very easy. So let's say I'm pretty happy with the way Essential operates, but it just needs 2 more windows because I use type a lot. So I'll open up the type window. So I went to Window, go down to Type, Character, and let's see, I'll just put that here in the corner. And I also like to use the Pathfinder tools a lot. So let me open up the Pathfinder window, pull this up. So now here's a way to change the size, like a high option, because all the options are showing. So I'm going to hide that. So make that a little bit smaller. Okay, so it's not quite in the way. So if you don't have 2 monitors to deal with, then this is good here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as my workspace. So go to the tab, select New Workspace. I'm going to name it Howard because that's my name and it's my workspace. So now you see Howard appeared immediately. And let me just go back to Essentials. And you see, I started this in Essentials, so let me go to Tracing. Okay, so as you can see, it disappears, go to the Tracing, and now when I go to Howard, it pops back up because this is what I set in the exact position that I set it in. So now let's go to show you how to manage your workspaces. So let's say you have a few different workspaces and you want to create a new workspace. You can use this as the guide, as the default. So from here you can create a new workspace, or if you have too many, then you can just delete the workspace and start fresh. Okay, so that is how you set the workspaces up. Okay, so now let's talk about artboards. Now, artboards are an interesting feature because it makes it very similar to Adobe InDesign. So there are a few ways you can get to the artboard. So click here and your artboard will be handy. Right now this is only one artboard, so let me just show you. So see this line here, that's the artboard. Now if I wanted to, I can go to the click Document Setups, and this is another way to get the artboard. So I can edit the artboards here. So you can see I get some handles on here. So let me open up a new file and edit that. So I hit Escape to get out of that. Okay, so now I go to Document Setup, edit artboards, and I get some guides. And artboards are always numbered. So in order that you create them. Okay, so I can do whatever I want here, and then when I'm done, and if I want to, I can create another artboard, just that easily. All right, so let me get out of this and show you artboard that I already have made. Here's one for a children's book that I'm doing. So I did this all completely in Illustrator. This is all vector art. So I'm going to fit all in window. So you can see all 21 pages. Actually, this should be 20. In any case, all the pages. So I must have deleted artboard somewhere along the way here. In any case, the artboards are numbered. Yeah, it is 20. I just named it 21 or something. Okay, anyway, I'm digressing. Trying to reconstruct what I did here. Just caught me off guard. Okay, so anyway, The artboards are numbered. The name artboards, you can name them what you want if you really want to. And again, I can still create artboards, just with a touch. But I don't want to do that. All right. So now how do you navigate all these artboards? Because if you zoomed in, like so, and let's say I wanted to go to artboard number 8, then there it is, artboard number 8. So that's one way, and also another way is from here. So I can go to 4, double click to go to 4, and the same thing 11. Also, I can use some arrow keys and move up. Oh, I'm moving actually the artboard, moving up into a different position, which I don't want to do right now on the layer. And again, I can create a new artboard from here or delete artboard from here. Okay. So that is the artboards. And again, these print as pages, just as they would in Adobe InDesign. And as long as you keep it in the native format file, this will stay the same. If you make them a JPEG or export them to another format, then they come out as individual files. Okay, so that is not anything you have to worry about, but good thing to remember. Okay, and press the escape key here. So I'm out of artboard. All right, now let's go to rulers and guides. Now, right now, there's no rulers being displayed. So I'll go to View, Show Rulers, and now I get the rulers along the edge here. I need to show the rulers. This is why rulers and guides are together, because I can't create a guide without the rulers, because I pull from the rulers from the left and from the top, to get my guides. Okay, also with the rulers, I'm going to go, I can change the origin point. Right now, the origin point is the exact left corner here, but I can change it by going to this corner here and pulling in, and let's say I want the origin point to be here. So here is the 0, it lines up right there. And that doesn't affect how the guides are used at all. Okay, because I can still pull from anything. All right, now, let me see, now with guides, I can hide the guides. Okay, bring the guides back, so View, Guides, Show Guides, and I can move the guides. Now, right now I can't because they're locked, so I have to go to View, Guides, and it's checked, so that means it's locked. So if I click that, that will uncheck it, and now I'm able to move the guides if I need to reposition them for any reason. And it's a good idea to, after you get it to where they want, you can lock the guides. Okay, also when you finish with the guides, totally, you can just clear them, because hiding guides and clearing guides are two different things, and there's no shortcut for clearing guides, so that you don't do it accidentally, which I think is probably a good thing. So when you clear the guides, you really have to go to the effort to clear the guides and get rid of them all, because during the course of creating some artwork, you can have guides all over the place. Okay, so that is ruler. Oh, one more thing. Also, you can create any vector art and make it into a guide. So here, I have a line. And make that a little bit larger so you can see that it actually is a line. Okay, so here's a line that I've created. So now I can select this line, and I can go to View, Guides, Make Guides. And now that has become a line, a guide. And it didn't matter what size it was, because I had like the 2-point, the guides are always the same size. So not only can I make a line a guide, I can also make any path, stroke, or object a guide. So I go to View, Guides, Make Guides, and here you see it's completely a guide now. And this may be good if you're doing a few different variations on Apple and you need the same shape. So whatever reason you need, you can make your vector art into a guide. All right. So that is rulers and guides. Okay, so now let's talk about grids. So you go to, the grid is a checkerboard display to help you align text. So you go to View, and it's high grid, so I want to show the grid. And we can't see here because we kind of pushed out. And it's covered up. So let me go to my untitled and view, show grid. Okay, so now the grid is showing, and you can see the different divisions. So when I go to my preferences and go to guides and grids, here's where I told you earlier that you can change things. So right now it's a grid line for every inch. That's the major one, and 8 subdivisions. So right now, let me see what happens when I make 6 subdivisions. There's no preview here, and you can see that it changes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me go again. Preferences, guides and grids, and I can make it 4 subdivisions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is how the grid operates. So it helps you to line things up. And you see those little green things, those are my smart guides. So that's also helping me to line things up. Also, let me show you another thing in the preferences. I can change the color of the lines, or I can change it to dots. So if I'm doing something with all the lines, but sometimes the dots are kind of hard to see. I mean, no matter what color it is. So I prefer to keep it as lines, because it's not like it's part of the art anyway. Okay. Now also under view, guys, I can have snap to grid. So now if I'm moving something and it gets close to where I want, it'll immediately snap into place to the corner. So if I'm just like here, you see how it's kind of going right to the grid line, whereas before I had the freedom to move it where I want. So now you see I can end it just before it gets to a grid line. Okay, so snap to grid may be handy when you're trying to align things. Okay, so here's another thing with the smart guides, because I get the height and the X and Y position, and also it's showing me that I'm directly in the center, that both of those are lining up. So that's another reason why these smart guides are good to keep. All right. Okay, so that is the grid. Okay, I kind of saved the best for last because these are the panels, and the panels have all the tools and everything you're going to access. We've already been accessing them. These are the panels on the side here. There's your tool panel, and these are control panels up top. Now the control panel changes based on what tool you have selected. So right now I have the brush selected, so I can select my stroke size from here, whether it's going to be uniform, the size of the brush, opacity, and such. So when I change to the type tool, I also get character, paragraph, some different things. So it changes based on the tool that's being used. Okay, so this is a control panel up top. These are the panels that have your color guide. You can do shades and tints. And I'm just going over these really quickly because later on I'm going to go into detail. So there's no need to do it now. I just want to introduce you to these to make sure you know what they are. These are swatches right now. It just has show gradient swatches. So here I can choose all the swatches, just the color swatches, just the pattern swatches, and I can show color groups. Okay, and also brushes and symbols are here, and these are also down in the panel. So I selected it from here because they're all on the same tab in the same panel. These tabs are in the same panel, but I can select them from here also. So here you have your strokes, your gradient, your transparency. This is appearance, graphic styles, artboards, which you saw earlier, and layers, which I've been dealing with from the beginning. So this is the layers, and again, I'm going to go into detail about that. Okay, now here are your tools, your tool panels. So let's go in a little bit with that. Okay, so they're grouped in different sections. So these are your selection tools up here. So this is your direct selection. This is your selection tool. This is the main tool that you use most of the time. This is your direct selection tool, which allows you to choose anchors and points and parts of paths. Here's your lasso tool, and here's your magic wand tool. Okay, so those are your selection tools. Now these are your drawing and painting tools. And also when these little callouts come up, not only does it show you the name of the tool, but also shows you the shortcuts that you can use. So the shortcut for that is P. And another thing is up here is that all the shortcuts are on the right hand side. So it shows you the shortcut keys. So it's good to use the shortcut keys because that'll make you more efficient at your drawing. Okay, so try to memorize those. Using the same thing over and over again, learn the shortcut keys. Okay, so pen tool, your type tool, your line segment tool, and a rectangle tool. Also, now anything that has a little a white arrow in the corner, in the right bottom corner, if you hold down, it produces a call-out menu, show you the other things that are underneath that. And again, I'm going to go into that more in the future lessons. So rectangle tool, paintbrush tool, your pencil tool, the blob brush, and the eraser tool. So those are your drawing tools. Now this whole section is considered editing tools. Some of them are just really strictly editing. Some, I think, cross the line into drawing. So here's your rotate tool, your scale tool, your width tool, the free transform tool, your shape builder tool, and the perspective grid tool. And now here are some tools, editing tools I think cross a little bit into drawing. The mesh tool, which usually you use after you've created something and then you want to create some more gradients into it. The gradient tool is usually you're adding some gradients to a flat color. So again, I can see why it's editing because you're making changes. The eyedropper tool just picks up color that you've already selected that you want to use somewhere else. And the blend tool creates blends of different shapes and colors. Okay, now these are your symbol spraying tool, and this is your column graph tool. I think the column graph, definitely fits into drawing because you're creating something from scratch there. And these are your viewing tools. The artboard tool, so this is another way to access the artboard. And your slice tool for slicing and dicing and cutting up stuff. The hand tool, which allows you to move your paper around. And the zoom tool, which allows you to zoom in. Okay, here you have fill and stroke. So right now just stroke is selected, and that's also able to be selected up here in the control panel. So I can swap the fill and stroke. I can click here to get the black and white. Or I could do Command D. Oops. I got that selected. And I can swap that. And I could do Command D or hit the D key to get the default. So D is the default, not Command D, just the letter D. Okay. Here you have your drawing modes. And that's in this section down here. So here, this the normal draw modes was the default, so it's normally selected. Here you can draw behind, so this helps you to draw behind an object. And here you can draw inside an object. And again, I'm going to show you how to do this later. Okay, so here you can change to full screen mode. So full screen with menu bar. So see that up top, everything just kind of shifted. And full screen mode totally without a menu bar. Okay, so and you hit escape to come back, and you're back to normal. Whoops, yeah, back to normal screen mode. Okay, so this is your tool panel. You'll be using this a lot, as well as the panels over here. Okay, so that pretty much I've shown you pretty much what I think you need to begin. There's a homework lesson with this. So basically, that'll be your first homework assignment, which basically is to create some workspaces of your own. Now, even though you may not know, how you want to set up your space, just try to figure out what tools, you might want to use right away. And then later on, as you start using them more and more, then modify that to your working style. Also, I want you to learn the shortcut keys. So if there's anything that you're using a lot, if there's a shortcut key for it, then I want you to memorize that, because that'll help you. So use your drawing hand for one thing, for drawing, and your left hand or your other hand, I should say, because not everybody's right-handed, your other hand for learning the shortcuts. Okay, believe me, this will definitely speed up your efficiency, will speed up your drawing to make you more efficient and to get work done faster. Okay, so that concludes our first lesson. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, go out and just create.